what do I give to people? I know there are people who tell me I have great gifts musically that I can make people happy with. One time, we had a horrible tornado in the Oklahoma City metro area a few years ago. And thousands of houses or hundreds of houses were demolished up north of Norman in a town between Norman, Oklahoma and Oklahoma City called Moore, Oklahoma. And utterly devastating. So the University of Oklahoma here in Norman put up a lot of the people who were displaced into the dorms, and it so happened that this was when the dorms were not occupied to the extent. It was like late May, so school was out, and there was a lot of free space for these displaced people to be put up by the University of Oklahoma until they figured out what they were going to do with their lives. And so people put together, through people involved with the School of Music at University of Oklahoma, a rolling volunteer army of musicians to go over to the cafeteria in that dorm building and play just kind of quiet stuff, whether it was a guitar or a keyboard or whatever. And I brought the keyboard that I'm not even sure they didn't have. I think they may have even had a keyboard there. So I went there and played for like an hour. I played mostly, stuff like Renaissance composers like William Byrd, because that kind of Elizabethan sound on a quiet synthesizer piano sound is very pretty, and it sounds not ridiculously jolly. It depends on the tempo you play that kind of music. But it has a quality that is semi-classical. It doesn't sound as weighty as the Australo-Germanic composers from Bach to Brahms. It's before all that, and it's mostly British. And it has a different character, but it's very accessible to listen to or to just have on as background music. And slow Rachmaninoff is absolutely perfect for this kind of thing. So I'm doing this. I'm playing this music. And I'm not really thinking about any of it. I'm just doing it. And a woman about 65 years old comes over to me. She's been seated by herself having some dinner. And she comes over and she just says, "I just want to thank you so much for playing for my dinner." And I said, "You're welcome." And she said, "I just lost my house and the clothes on my back and my dog are the only things that survived. We got into, she had a storm shelter. She and her dog got into the storm shelter and survived, but her house was completely demolished. And she's telling me, thank you for playing music while I have dinner." And I didn't know what to say. I don't think I've ever had that kind of experience before or since. I've certainly not had it since, and I don't think I ever had it before that. I think I would have remembered, But I just didn't know what to say to her. But I said, I know a lot of different kind of music. What I played here tonight is not necessarily everything I know. Is there anything you'd like me to play? Some pop music or whatever. She said, "Well, it's kind of old. I don't know if you know. I always loved the song Stand By Me." Well, I can fake that song real well. I may not play it precisely perfect, but when the night has come and the moon is dark, I know how it goes, right? So I can do it, and of course, I'd be happy to play this for you, and I do. And she sang like a line or two real quietly, and she just said, "Thank you." I said, "You're welcome." And she went away, and oh my God. I was like, I didn't cry, but I was so, flattened by that whole, in a good way, but it flattened me. It was like, how did I be the one that played the music for this woman who has just lost everything? She may have insurance, she may have this and that, but it's going to be weird for her, and she's much older than me. So that's what I do it for. That's why I'm a musician at the end of the day, I guess, is stuff like that. Even though it's never going to be that dramatic, it's never going to be that exemplary of a circumstance. But since I was about 12 years old, I've wanted to be a musician more for the people who are lonely, or for the people who don't feel like anybody's speaking for them, or the people who feel outcast from their immediate geographical region. Anybody that feels out of place for whatever reason. That's what I've wanted to do. I don't know whether I've succeeded on a consistent basis, but I certainly did okay that night, But in the meantime, I don't know that I belong